Depth first time I met Isaiah Cole. He was playing saxophone in a dive bar on Frenchmen Street at 2 in the morning, and I was supposed to be sleeping before dawn charter. I wasn't supposed to be in the French Quarter at all. My friend Marcus had dragged me out, said I needed to get out of my apartment, said running a dive shop didn't mean I had to live like a monk. We ended up at the Spotted Cat because Marcus knew someone who knew someone. And that's how New Orleans works. Everything connects if you know the right people. The band was 3 people, drums, bass, and a saxophonist who moved like the music was coming out of him instead of the other way around. He was tall, dark-skinned, wearing a vintage suit that fit like it was tailored for him. And when he hit the bridge on round midnight, the entire bar went quiet. I had never experienced that before. A room full of people, all of them silenced by sound. When the set ended, he came off stage soaked in sweat, grinning like he'd just climbed Everest, and made a beeline for the bar. I watched him order a drink, watched him scan the room like he was cataloging something. And when his eyes hit me, I felt it like a pressure change. That's a diving term. Pressure change. The moment your body registers that you've descended, that the environment around you has shifted, that you need to adjust or you'll get hurt. He walked over. You were watching. He said instead of hello. Yeah. Not like watching a band. Like watching something you didn't understand but wanted to. He sat on the empty stool next to me. What's your name? DeShawn. DeShawn Broussard. Isaiah Cole. He extended his hand. What do you do that makes you watch music like you're trying to solve it? I run a dive shop. Instruction, charters, equipment. I shook his hand. Why do you play music like you're trying to communicate with something underwater? He laughed. Actually laughed, head back, genuine. That's either the weirdest compliment I've ever gotten or you're absolutely insane. Little column A. Little column B. We talked until 4 a.m. about what brought him to New Orleans. He moved from Chicago 3 years ago for session work. Got tired of the city. Fell in love with the jazz scene here. About what keeps me here. I was born here. My family's been diving the Gulf for 3 generations. The water is in my blood in ways I can't articulate. About music and depth and the specific way that both of them require surrender. You ever been diving? I asked at one point. Never. Water terrifies me. He said it casually, like admitting a fundamental fear over drinks at 3 a.m. was normal. I can't control what's underneath. Freaks me out. You could learn. I could teach you. Would you want to? I thought about that. Yeah. Actually, I would. When the bar closed and we walked out into the New Orleans pre-dawn thick air, smell of the river, the specific humidity that wraps around you like a living thing, he asked for my number. I gave it to him. He texted me immediately so I'd have his. This is Isaiah. The underwater thing intrigues me. Also, I'm probably going to regret admitting I'm terrified of water. I texted back. You won't regret it. Trust me. That's what people say before horror movies, he replied. Exactly. I sent back. I drove home to my apartment in the bywater, thinking about pressure changes and the way sound travels differently in water versus air. About a saxophonist who moved like he was underwater even on a stage. I should have known better. But I wasn't thinking clearly. Here's what I didn't know then. Isaiah Cole wasn't just a talented session musician. He was also someone who'd recently signed with a talent agency that booked jazz ensembles for international tours. He had a contract starting in 6 months, a traveling gig that would take him through Europe, Asia, and back through the States for 9 months total. He was supposed to be excited about it. Instead, he kept thinking about a dive shop owner in New Orleans. We started seeing each other the week after. Coffee that turned into lunch, that turned into dinner, that turned into me teaching him to dive in a controlled pool environment first. Because even though water terrified him, he wanted to understand what I understood. The first time Isaiah went underwater, even in the pool, even in shallow water, I watched his face transform. Fear, then concentration, then this specific kind of wonder when he realized he could breathe. That the equipment worked. That the impossible was possible if you had the right tools. It's like playing music, he said when we surfaced. I can't control the instrument, but the instrument and I figure out how to make something together. Exactly like that. We were floating in the shallow end, still in gear, and he pulled me closer. I think I'm falling in love with you. We've known each other 3 weeks, and 3 weeks ago I was terrified of water and didn't believe in love at first sight. So I'm revising my position. He kissed me with his mask still on, which was ridiculous and perfect. Is that okay? Yeah, I said. It's more than okay. Summer in New Orleans is brutal. Heat that makes you sweat walking from your apartment to your car. Humidity that turns the air thick enough to drink. Tourists trying to photograph everything while locals just try to survive until September. The Gulf is warm and choppy, full of summer storms that pop up out of nowhere. I had Isaiah helping at the dive shop by mid-June. He wasn't certified yet, but he could help with equipment, answer phones, handle logistics. He was good at it too, detail-oriented, patient with customers, genuinely interested in their experience instead of just processing them through. We fell into a rhythm. My days were shaped by the water charters, instruction, maintenance, weather monitoring. His nights were shaped by music gigs at various venues around the quarter, sessions with other musicians, writing arrangements. We overlapped in the afternoons, in the evenings after his morning dives. In the early mornings before my charters. It wasn't conventional, but it worked. Then mid-July, Isaiah's agency called. I was at the shop when he showed up with that specific expression people get when they're trying to figure out how to tell you something that's going to hurt. We closed early, went to my apartment, and he told me. The tour, he said. It's confirmed. Leaves end of September. I'm gone 9 months. My stomach didn't just drop. It fell. 9 months. Europe, Asia, Australia, back through the States. Different ensemble each leg. It's the opportunity I've been working towards since I moved to NOLA. He was watching my face carefully. But I didn't know you then. I didn't. He gestured vaguely at us. I didn't have this. When were you going to tell me? I didn't know until today. The contract was conditional on some funding approvals that just went through. He ran his hand through his hair. I've been waiting to see if it would actually happen. And now it's happening. Yeah, now it's happening. I walked to the window of my apartment. I have a view of the river from here. The slow brown water moving toward the Gulf. Do you want to go? Yes, and no, and yes. But I don't want to leave you. And also I don't understand how those two things are supposed to coexist in one person. I got it. I understood exactly what he meant. You can love someone and still need to leave. Those things aren't mutually exclusive, they're just both true at the same time. And you have to figure out how to carry both. How long have you known this was possible? I asked. Since June. When I signed the preliminary contract, and you didn't tell me. Because I was hoping it wouldn't come through. I was hoping the funding would fall through, and I could just stay here with you, and not have to make this choice. He came up behind me, didn't touch me, just stood in my space. That was stupid. I should have told you. Yeah, you should have. The next 2 months were complicated. We didn't break up. We also didn't acknowledge that the clock was running. Isaiah got his advanced diving certification. We took a charter down to the artificial reef, and he experienced the specific transcendence of deep diving, that point where you descend past normal depth and the world shifts into something surreal and quiet and entirely different from the surface. It's like being in a dream, he said when we surfaced. Like music that's too low frequency to hear, but you feel it anyway. That's meditation. I told him. That's why people dive. I thought they dive for fish. Some do. But most people dive because they're trying to find something about themselves in the deep. We drove up to Baton Rouge for a concert where one of his ensembles was playing. Watched him on stage. Saw him transform into a different version of himself, more formal, more technical, but still undeniably him. After the show, his ensemble invited us to dinner. And I realized that this was the life he was choosing. This community, this level of musicianship, this constant challenge and growth. It was beautiful. And it was taking him away from me. Come with me, he said one night in late August. We were in my bed, and he was leaving in for weeks. Just for the first month. Europe leg, September and early October. Then come back for hurricane season, but come back knowing you've seen what this is. Isaiah, I'm not asking you to leave the shop or your life. Just come for a month. See what it looks like. See if we can make this work. September 1st, New Orleans feels like it's holding its breath. Hurricane season is in full effect, and while we're not expecting a major storm, there's always the possibility. At the shop, we prep equipment, double-check safety procedures, make sure all our dive sites are rated for the current conditions. Isaiah's last concert in New Orleans is September 15th. I go with Marcus and his boyfriend, and this time I understand what I'm watching. Not just a talented musician, a man who's about to step into a larger world, who's been preparing for this his entire career, and who's simultaneously terrified of what it means to leave. After the concert, we have 2 weeks. He's flying out October 1st. I take it off work, first time I've closed the shop in 6 months. We drive out to the bayou and watch the water. We go to every restaurant we've talked about but never gotten to. We spend hours on the water, me showing him specific dives, him recording the scenery on his phone so he can remember. On September 30th, we're at my apartment. He leaves tomorrow morning. His suitcase is packed by the door, and we're pretending we're not thinking about the suitcase. Come to Europe, he says again. Like maybe if he says it enough times I'll suddenly be able to leave a dive shop. During hurricane season, I can't. September. Early October hurricane season is dying down. Isaiah, you know I can't. It's not just me. Marcus is covering, but I can't ask him to cover for a month. The shop needs. I know. He sits down, and I sit next to him. I know the shop needs you, and I need you, and I'm leaving anyway. So we just exist in the space where both things are true, and there's no solution. There might be a solution, I said. It's just not one we can see right now. That's what people say when they're about to break up, or what people say when they're about to figure something out that requires patience. I took his hand. 9 months, right? You're touring for 9 months total. That comes back to June, which is before the serious hurricane season. We can do 9 months. People say that, and then they can't. Maybe we're not people. I said, maybe we're different. He wanted to believe me. I could see it in his face. But he also knew the specific way that distance kills things. That long relationships are hard. That sometimes what works in summer doesn't work in winter. I love you, he said. I love you too. So, we're going to do something crazy. What? We're going to stay together anyway. Even though it's hard. Even though the timing is bad. Even though I can't go to Europe and he can't stay here. I pulled him closer. We're going to prove that distance doesn't automatically mean ending. That's a lot of faith. Yeah, I said, but you taught me about surrender. About trusting the equipment even when you're terrified. I'm surrendering to this. To us. He kissed me like he was trying to memorize it. And we didn't think about the suitcase by the door or the flight tomorrow. Or the way the world was about to pull us in different directions. October 1st, I drive him to the airport. We don't cry. We're not the kind of people who cry. But my chest feels tight in a way that has nothing to do with pressure changes. And everything to do with watching someone you love walk into security. Call me when you land. I say, I will. And I'll text you rehearsal updates and terrible hotel pictures and whatever else I experience. He's doing that thing where he's trying to smile and failing. I'm going to miss you so much. I know. I'm going to miss you too. But this is right. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Doesn't make it easier. No, it doesn't. He kisses me one more time. And then he's gone. October-December. Surviving long distance to learn the rhythm quickly. Time zones are brutal. He's 9 hours ahead in Europe. But we find windows. Early mornings for me. Late nights for him. We video call when we can. Text constantly. Share music and photos and the small details of our separate lives. The shop gets busier as we move into fall. Hurricane season winds down. But people still want to dive the Gulf. And we have more business than I can handle solo. Marcus picks up shifts, but I'm paying him overtime, and the shop's margins are tight. Isaiah sends photos from Berlin, Vienna, Prague. Concert halls that are centuries old. Audiences that give standing ovations. Ensemble members who've become his friends. He's living the dream he's been building toward. I'm happy for him. I'm also going crazy with missing him. In November, I have to make a decision. Spend money I don't have to fly to London for a 3-day overlap. Or save it for the shop. I booked the flight anyway. Go into debt a little. It's worth it to spend 72 hours with him. To be in the same room. To not have to translate intimacy through a screen. You shouldn't have spent the money. He says when I arrive. I know. The shop will be fine. And I needed this. I needed to remember what you look like when you're not a video call. We spend those 3 days never leaving his hotel room, basically. Order room service, sleep, have sex, talk, sleep again. On the final night, he says, thank you for coming. Thank you for fighting for this. I know it's hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, he says. But it's also the most important. January, May. Asia leg, Australia. Beginning of the return journey. Something shifts in my relationship with the water around this time. I've been diving the Gulf since I could swim. Taught hundreds of people. Built my entire life around this work. But something about Isaiah being gone makes me examine why. I realize I use diving the same way he uses music as a way to process the world. To find quiet in the noise. To access a part of myself that can't be reached any other way. It's meditation and prayer and art all at once. I start teaching more classes. Mentoring younger dive instructors. Building the shop into something that can run without me constantly present. I'm trying to build flexibility into my life for when if he comes back. Isaiah's tour goes through Australia. And I stay up until 4 a.m. watching his Instagram live streams from Sydney Opera House. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And he's also called me every night before bed since the tour started. And he's talked about coming home the same way people talk about religion. I miss diving. He told me in March. I miss the quiet. I miss you teaching people how to descend. I miss the way you look when you come back from a charter. I miss New Orleans. Come home, I said. I have 6 weeks left of the tour. Final leg, back through the States, closing in Miami, then come home. I will. And I'm going to stay there. I'm not accepting another tour for at least a year. I need to be there. I need to be with you. June 1st, he comes home. I pick him up at the airport, and he looks exactly like I remember and completely different, traveled, exhausted, but also radiating the specific kind of contentment that comes from following your dream. All the way through. Hi, he says when he sees me. Hi yourself. I'm home, he says. And it sounds like a statement and a question and a prayer all at once. Yeah, you're home. Epilogue, August. 6 weeks later, we're planning a dive trip. For the end of the month, a week down at the Flower Garden Banks, a pristine offshore reef system that I've been wanting to take him to since he got certified. He's been training, building his deep dive skills, preparing for something beyond what he's experienced. I'm planning to ask him something while we're down there. I have a ring, nothing fancy, just something that felt right when I saw it. I'm terrified. He just got back. We haven't even been in the same city for more than a few days without separation hanging over us. But he came back. Against all logic, against the pull of a career that was taking him around the world. He came back to New Orleans. To the shop? To me. He's in the back room now, reorganizing our inventory system because apparently jazz musicians are also obsessively organized. When they focus on something. I can hear him humming something he's composing, I think. Something that sounds like water and music and belonging all mixed together. Come here, I call out. He emerges, covered in dust, grinning like he hasn't grinned since he left. What? Nothing. Just wanted to see you. I'm right here, he says, and somehow that's everything. He is right here. After 9 months of distance. After proving that long-distance relationships aren't automatically death sentences. After learning that love sometimes means letting someone go and trusting they'll come back. He's here. In August, in a dive shop in New Orleans, surrounded by equipment and possibilities. I'm going to ask him to stay forever. But first, I'm going to take him down to depth one more time. Watch him descend. Watch him surrender to something larger than himself. Watch him find that specific kind of peace that only comes when you trust completely. Then I'm going to ask and I already know what he's going to say.